Welcome, dear friends, to Cardiac Radio and the Spirit Society of Virginia in our Life in Two Worlds session. It's a session in which we see ourselves as we are. We are immortal beings living temporarily on Earth, right? And here we are. Okay, 1 second so we can connect properly here. Right? Okay. All right. We hope our Facebook friends. Yeah, is that Facebook or YouTube? Okay, we just need to check. Sorry, friends, the Facebook page at Cardiac Radio. Let's see if it's there. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, friends, just a technical verification. So you're welcome to come to this Life in Two Worlds where we learn about the fact that we are here on Earth temporarily. We never know when we are going to transition back into our spiritual home. The more we study about their reality, the more we make wiser decisions because the law of action and reaction is real. It's like gravity. We cannot defeat it. So if we choose wisely, we'll see the effects of that wisdom. Or the opposite. Today, you and I, all of us, are invited to the good. Thank you, Rihanna, for your kindness. Welcome, Narciso and friends. Join in, friends. We may not see each other physically. You see us, but we visualize you. Join in. Participate with your questions, with your comments, because it becomes richer that way. It's like a study session. And today, this invitation to the good comes from on high. It's from the book, Workers of the Life Eternal. We have a part of our team here. We have many people in our team. Some of us are here. And you are here with us to cherish this opportunity of empowering our understanding of life as is. Thank you, Camila and Slavik, for joining us too. And we invite our dear friend John to read the initial message. Remember, when we are reading that message, we're preparing to receive the spiritual treatment. We're preparing ourselves to really go through these new insights that we need for new habits. If we don't learn anything new, we're not going to create new habits. So to begin it, here is John DeRose. Right, John?
Hello, my friends out there in Cardiac Radio Land. Today we're going to start the meeting off with a message from Living Spring. It is number 106, and it's entitled, Let Us Serve the Good. The New Testament quote is from John chapter 1, verse 5. The light shines in the darkness. Emmanuel wrote, Do not feel afflicted because you seem to be alone as you serve the good. Jesus too was alone before bringing his companions together for the apostolic endeavor. He was alone facing a vast world, like a farmer who has no tools with which to work to clear an immense forest. Nevertheless, Christianity emerged as a living temple of love, and it is still under construction for human happiness. Jesus, however, despite knowing the power of the truth that he brought with him, did not use his superiority to humiliate or hurt anyone. Above all his other concerns, he invariably sought the good in every situation and in every one. He did not waste time on inappropriate criticisms. He did not engage in pointless arguments. He established the redemptive kingdom of which he was the messenger, serving and loving, always helping and supporting each lesson with his own exemplification. Therefore, let us continue on our redemptive march ahead, even when we feel alone. Above all, let us serve the good, but avoid arguments and bad situations where evil can expand itself. Flee the darkness for the radiance of the light. Let us remember that even though thousands of miles of darkness in the middle of the night cannot quench even a half-inch of the shining flame of a candle, all it takes is a puff of wind to extinguish it.
Thank you, John. And now we invite everyone for our initial prayer with Paloma. Welcome, dear friends. Let us close our eyes, being mindful of this moment, connecting with God. Dear God, we thank you today for bringing us together, for this reflection about the good. We are here, dear Lord, with open hearts and open minds to allow this treatment to permeate our souls, to come out of it better. We thank you, dear God, for sending doctors and nurses to our homes to treat us, to treat our loved ones, to help rebalance our energies. And we know that this moment of learning is also a moment of healing. We pray for your inspiration during this session. We pray for the inspiration of the members of our team that will be delivering it. We thank you always, dear Lord, and under your protection and with your permission, we ask to start the session of today, and so be it. So, dear friends, here we begin. We begin with the invitation to the good. Invitation to the good is actually the first chapter of a book that was psychographed by the medium Chico Xavier and is brought to us through the kindness of the English translation. We can have it available for our studies. Workers of the Life Eternal. The spirit author Andre Luiz, the same author of the book No Solar, and many others, which is also in a movie, as much as the book And Life Goes On, and soon the Messengers coming to life as well. So when we open that book, which I have here also in Kindle format, it's good to have this at hand wherever we go. We stop at any moment, don't know what to do, open, read a phrase. And in this part of this book, Workers of the Life Eternal, true treasures on earth, we're going to see that they are in the spiritual colony, these great spirits, amongst them the mentor Metello, Andre Luiz, and others. And they are there in the colony. This is a picture from the movie No Solar. They are united for preparations of good works. Let us put a pause now and ask ourselves, we are here on earth. And at this moment, there are illuminated minds who are working to help us, who are teaming up to assist us in our evolution. But we have questions. During the instructions received by the mentor Metello to all those who were there in the spiritual realm, preparing for a special expedition, 30 days that they were being prepared, that they were going to the earth to spend time helping people on earth. Questions that you're going to find in the very book. Oh, sorry. What deters us? What does deter us from living life as needed? What is deterring us? So interesting, because Mentor Metello explains to us that we incarnates are still imprisoned in the bars of our senses, progressing slowly. Majority of us on earth is experiencing expiations in arduous redemptions, while immersed in suffering and fear. You and I today have an opportunity to ask, are we imprisoned in our senses? And we may ask, what does that mean? It means, I only do what I like. I only do what I want. That's what it means. I only do what is pleasant to my sensations. If it's not pleasant, I skip. How can we evolve fast or evolve more steadily without being deterred or being hindered if we are still giving priority to our senses? We need to teach our children the importance of enduring hardships. And sometimes it's not that hard, but we see parents shielding their children, saying, yeah, it's too much homework. No, it's not too much homework. Do more, do extra, because in life, you do not excel if you don't do extra. If we do only what is the minimum, we are mediocre, meaning average, right? And then we evolve very slowly. I was meditating on this and I thought, wow. In sports in general, we see sports women and men who have achieved excellence. If you see their lives, how did they achieve it? If you talk to Serena Williams, how did she achieve her excellence? She had to be resilient and endure. She had to be focused, go beyond pleasantness, because when you practice a sport to become excellent in that sport, there are days in which your muscles can't take it anymore. It's sore. There are days you want to sit back and relax, but you can't because you need to excel, and that's your choice. It's by choice. I was studying a little bit more about the life of, they say today he's still the best soccer player, Cristiano Ronaldo, this Portuguese athlete. It's fascinating to see. He just turned 37 yesterday, and how focused he is. To achieve that level, we need to go beyond our senses. Because if we're like, oh yeah, I did too much, if you talk to him, he's going to say, every day he works out. Every day he practices. As I said to Virginia once, I said, you see, if he tells himself, I already know soccer enough, let me just relax. for a month. When he goes back, his body is not at the same level. Michael Phelps in Baltimore, Maryland, became the top of all athletes of all times, the Olympian of all Olympians. Reading about his life, getting to know about his life, he would spend 8 hours a day or more practicing, breaking his own record, achieving excellence. So, if we are just like everybody else, yeah, we work a little bit and we relax. We don't do anything. Oh, I read too much. I studied too much. We're going to progress very slowly. We need to own our sensations and raise above it. And only reasoning can do it. We're humans. Animals cannot do it unless they are trained by humans. Majority of us are in this cycle of suffering and fear. Why? We choose it. If I wake up every day in fear and suffering, it's my choice. It's not life. Because I can choose otherwise. I can go through a hardship and a challenge in completely different manners. There's not only one way to go through it. Mentor Metello asks this question: what would our joys be complete if tears followed in our footsteps? How can we achieve happiness when behind us there's a trail of tears that we left and the tears of others? And he goes on, how was I to climb alone, preparing a private heaven for my soul, but regretfully dissociated from the values of cooperation that the world had generously and abundantly lavished upon me? Today, many people on earth are dreaming of their own private heaven, forgetting that that does not exist. Nobody will be able to climb to heaven alone without helping others to do the same. We must, he says, season our lives with the salt of understanding, every impulse to evolve spiritually, avoiding falling into the precipice of deadly selfishness and vanity. These are key words for us when we only think about our own pleasures, about our own things. And we forget that it's not about us. Only the day I wake up thinking of the happiness of others and make it my goal, like the superior spirits do, then I will achieve excellence. That's our record to be broken every day. Have I thought more of others than myself today? Or am I still like yesterday? Selfish. Am I a little selfless today? And every day I go to the swimming pool of life against the waves that I need to practice, and I still keep thinking about the benefit of others. Without pride, because everything good comes from God. The bottom line is that Mentor Metello is calling all of us. Of course, he's giving that talk in the spiritual realm as they're preparing for a special expedition on the earth. But this is published for us here incarnated, because you and I don't need to wait to be discarnated for the expeditions of the good. You and I are being called today, are being invited today to balance our hearts while being in solidarity with people who are suffering. I'm going to pass the word to Daisy as she brings more insights from this invitation to the good. And the question remains for us: are we going to accept the invitation today? We don't have tomorrow. Some people say, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to do some good. Tomorrow doesn't exist. Yesterday, gone. But Vanessa, I am this, that, and the other. We have always something to share and reach out to people. Today. And we don't even need to leave our homes because there are 10,000 ways of doing the good beyond just being physically present. Because the people who say, but the pandemic, well, the pandemic is doing us a favor, making us adjust areas that when we are everywhere and elsewhere, we're not adjusting. So let's meditate on this as Daisy joins us with more on this invitation to the good, right, Daisy?
That's right, Vanessa. Good morning, friends. And we're going to continue studying this beautiful and so encouraging message from Mentor Metello in the first chapter of this book that we recommend everyone, as Vanessa was saying, just a click away. We can have it download on our Kindle and read word by word. We're here just bringing some excerpts so that we can study together. And friends, as we are reflecting on this, and as our dear Vanessa was sharing with us, if you look at this picture of the colony no solar, and this is a picture from the movie that we highly recommend if you haven't watched the movie No Solar or Astral City or read the book, it's so empowering. If you read about these colonies, the beauty, it's this picture, it's what our human eyes can see, but imagine in the spiritual realm, right? And if we ask anyone, we want to be there, right? We wanted to progress and be in this place that we're just looking at it, we feel peaceful, right? But the question that Mentor Metello is asking all of us is that imagine that we're climbing this mountain. We're so focused on getting to the top. Yes, that invitation is open to all of us. But at the same time, friends, that this is just an example of one of the many colonies that exist. At the same time, we know there is a very dark valley with many, many spirits who are suffering, brothers and sisters of all of us. And the question is, who has not been there, right? We all go through this transitions. But the question that Mentor Metello asked to all of us is, what about our brothers and sisters who still ignore the light? Are we gonna be so focused on climbing this mountain that we will ignore those who are desperate and suffering? Are we to ascend to God in a shut circle, as Vanessa was saying, just thinking of ourselves and our needs? Would our joy be completed if it was followed by the tears that come in our each of our step to the top? He says, every impulse to reach the summit is most noble, but what will we see after the ascent? What do we think, friends, we will see if we stay so focused on climbing this mountain, just thinking about our needs, what we need, our suffering. But Daisy, I'm going through so much. I'm suffering so much. Well, friends, today is an invitation to the good. It is an invitation for us to stop for a moment and look at those next to us, behind us. Look at their suffering. Because Mentor Metello says that in the midst of the joys of some, we would perceive the destruction and the destitution of countless others. We need to take this veil that cover our eyes, that we're so focused on our needs and ourselves, and truly think about those who are in this journey with us, sometimes inside of our own homes, under our roofs, in our family circles, in our communities, maybe a neighbor next door. But we leave our homes and we're so focused on getting to work and completing our tasks that we don't see when the neighbor comes by and say hi and maybe is in need of a friendly word. The coworker who stopped by your desk and asks for help and you say, "No, not right now. I don't have time right now." Or a child who comes and wants to play, but we know we need to clean the house and do the tasks, but we don't have the time. Well, Mentor Metello then asks all of us that we stop and think, where would we be now if our watchful benefactors had not provided us with the watch, care, and the benefits of opportunity? As Vanessa said, at this very moment, there are expeditions from the highest realms coming to earth to help us. So, friends, where would we be if it wasn't for those who are constantly by our side and helping us? So, if we are here ready to call for help, how about those who are also asking for help at this very moment? Mentor Metello says that how was him to climb alone, preparing a heaven for his soul and regretfully dissociating from the values of cooperation that the world had generously and abundantly lavished upon him. Mentor Metello shares with this group when he was giving this words of encouragement that he himself, at one point in his life, was so concentrating in reaching the light, in climbing to this perfectly heaven, that one day he realized that in the darkest regions of the earth, he saw this beautiful and magnificent light and workers coming from the highest realms. And he was able to quickly ask because they were so busy, there was no time for conversations. And he asked them, "What is happening? Where is so much light coming from?" And they said, "Well, today our guide and model, Jesus, is coming to visit the darkest regions of earth." And at that very day, he stopped and thought, well, if Jesus, a pure spirit, comes from the highest realms to help those in darkness, who am I to climb this mountain by myself, focus in this heavenly cooperation, friends, solidarity? That is the words for us today. How can we climb by ourselves? This morning, we were listening to a podcast of spiritual scholars in Brazil, and it was so beautiful because they were sharing with us that when we work in cooperation with others, side by side. First of all, we know this. We think we're giving, but we're the first ones to receive because as we're walking, helping in the pathway of others, they will stimulate on us new transformative things. And they said that our growth together is exponentially faster. So, if we want to climb ourselves, imagine someone who's trying to climb Mount Everest. Could they ever do it alone? No, they need a group to go together because one helps the other. So we might think, like in this picture, Andre Luiz was there in the darkest regions. We might think, who am I to help those? I'm still working on myself. Well, that is the great news for us. When we join in, we are growing exponentially faster. So, Mentor Metello reminds all of us that the great news is that as we climb in this vertical purifying path of ascendance, we are all destined to progress. We're all destined to get there. So when we look at our brothers and sisters, instead of looking at their defects, at their challenges in our lives and others, we focus knowing that everyone will get there. But if we do it together, we'll get there faster. He says, yet to the degree we enter upon the higher realms, the sublime laws of fraternity and compassion become engraved upon our minds and hearts. Yes, friends, as we evolve, we get out of this shell of selfishness and pride, and the laws of fraternity, it gets engraved in ourselves. So we're moving away from that selfishness and vanity, as Vanessa was telling us, to march toward this compassion and fraternity. Is when we look at other people suffering and we feel what they feel, we empathize. Because what if it was us who were there in those shoes? We look at the numbers of people who are right now in the US, more than 900,000 deaths. And we look at the numbers, not because another number, but those are 900,000 families that have lost a loved one. It's a mom who lost their child. It is children who lost their parents or grandparents. It is someone who now will have that not that figure in their lives anymore. We know that there's everything, there is a reason for sure. But when we look at those numbers, we don't look at the numbers, but we look at the people behind it, the stories. Mentor Metello reminds us that we have had great guides of humankind that have come. They did not measure their own greatness except by their ability to return to the circles of ignorance in order to exemplify love, wisdom, self denial, and forgiveness for one's fellow beings. Friends, where will we be if it wasn't for those who came before us? Yes, of course, the master of our master, Master Jesus, of course, but so many emissaries and guides who, out of selfless, they came to support us. If we stop and think in our lives, there is someone, at least one person. I'm sure we can, if we really think hard, we will find many, but there's at least one person who we look in our lives and we see if it wasn't for their sacrifice, if it wasn't because of their love, their self denial, we wouldn't be where we are today. So, as we think about this, we stop and we think for ourselves. Well, but do we need to be the next Chico Xavier? Do we need to be the next Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King? No, friends. We each have our own duties. But if we fulfill that duty, like the one person in our lives that transform our lives, we will be that point of light that will change and transform those around us. What will happen if we don't hold that torch for those who need it? As Vanessa was reminding us, we know that our planet right now, we as incarnate beings, this life is a very short period of time. The majority of us are held here in expiatory stations, redeeming ourselves. And yes, we're immersed in suffering and fear. And we turn on the TV and we read the newspaper and we see that there is much for us to do. How can we think about ourselves and our own needs when there's still so much suffering happening? Mentor Metallo says that we, because of our choices, still so involved in the passing pleasures of life, we immerse ourselves in this very dark forest. And when we discarnate, and even when we are already still incarnated, there is no peace of mind. Because because of our choice, we trap ourselves in this, our own internal hell. It's nothing outside. We get to know in Spiritism that hell lives inside each and every one of us. But we can change, friends. We don't need to live in this prison. So he invites all of us. He says, let us then join hands to help incarnate, discarnates, according to the evangelical directives, unveiling new horizons to them, enlightening their evolutionary pathways. Friends, when Mentor Metello invites all of us, he's saying that it's not for us to go and buy a piece of bread and deliver once a week or once a month or once a year to the homeless and think that we're checking a box or saying, oh, yeah, but I donate my clothes to those in need. But are we doing a favor, or they are doing a favor of receiving the things that we don't want anymore? Mentor Metello is inviting us to have that feeling. It's vibrational, friends. It's doing the good with our whole heart. It's not for us to be checking a box, but to truly, with our vibrations of compassion, of fraternity, of empathy for the pain of others, to reach out. Sometimes it's without words, through our actions, through prayers. Of course, if we can do something physically, wonderful. But it's not about the doing, it's about the sentiment, the vibrations inside of us. And he ends by reminding us of the one that came and continuously come every day. He says, let us remember the divine master that does not disdain the honor to serve, not according to our personal whims, but rather in conformance with his principles and laws. Friends, when we are invited to do the good, It's not the good that happens according to our personal whims in our time. Sometimes we are getting ready to sit down and to eat, and the telephone rings, or someone knocks at our doors, or someone comes by. Is that extra mile? It's stopping and think about ourselves. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna die right now if I don't eat this meal and answer this phone and talk to this person. I can change my schedule to feed others because someone at some point got out of their ways to help us, especially our Master Jesus. He came and loved us and never asked for anything in return. And even in the hardest moments when he was at the cross, suffering, he was still helping. He was helping those who were being crucified alongside him. He was helping his mother. He was uh, just talking to the disciples, conscience by conscience. He was helping as he was going through the most painful moments, quote unquote, physically. Our divine master, he works for all of us because there's vast areas of work that await our fraternal help. And by sowing the good, we will produce our own undying happiness. Undying happiness, friends. So today is a reminder for us that for us to truly expedite, we cannot do it alone, friends. It's an invitation to join hands, to be fraternal, to be cooperating with others. That's how is an invitation for all of us to get out of our selfishness and pride and vanity, to join in as Master Jesus comes and visited us every day and inviting us, supporting us. So we will now pass the word back to our dear Vanessa.
And as Daisy said, and we reaffirm our master is our model. You and I are not in the boat of life, on the boat of life on earth, on our own rules. There is a north, and our model is Jesus. So the honor to serve, as Rihanna says here, and we want to read her comment, Jesus could have returned to the right helm after he was crucified, but he attended to Judas because he loves us about him, above himself. As well as when Peter asked him if they could rest for a while, and he said, you could rest, you can rest, but I can't rest while there are people who are suffering. These are her own words. Thank you for that reminder, dear Rihanna. And it's important for us as we go back to our training session here, as we were talking about athletes. We are all in the invitation to be athletes of the good. And Oliveira was just here telling us about Michael Jordan and how she learned about his career, the very hard work. Nobody achieves excellence without hard work. But this hard work we're mentioning here is inner. It's changing thoughts to change our lives. We won't be able to do the good if we keep watching programs about crimes. If you sit down and watch nonsense, that is going to be your fuel to take your actions in words and everything else, feeding your emotions. We need to elevate ourselves above, aim higher. When we sit down with friends, let's step up a notch, and instead of being shallow, just talking about, oh, the pandemic and traveling, let's talk about more than that. Let's see if we can find the beauty of life beyond just the little things in life. And by doing so, we're encouraging people in our lives to do the same. We do not lecture anybody into this. We do not indoctrinate. But as we go, people see, oh, never thought about it. Oh, wow. The other day, somebody told me, yeah, Spiritism in the US is still growing. Yeah, it's still, yeah, but it won't grow stronger if we cross our arms and don't do anything. It will grow if you and I keep doing what we need to do. And then more people will join, and more people will join. And then when we least expect, it becomes mainstream. Our goal is not that one, because the goal in our lives is to do the good and to share the Spiritist teachings for you and I is certainly in the to-do list. This is the good, to share it with others, to be courageous, like the researcher yesterday that we interviewed at Cardiac Radio, Marina Whaler, who is in Baltimore, Maryland. She was sharing how she, as a scientist, she talked to her former mentor, colleagues at work about this reality. And many of them were like, oh, I don't believe in this, never thought about that. That doesn't hurt her feelings. She keeps on sharing, not bothering them. At the appropriate time, she plants the seed, but she's not hiding it out of fear, out of vanity. When we think, I don't want to talk about things people are going to think I'm crazy, right, Daisy? That's vanity. Well, let them think. I don't need the applause of the world. I don't. I need the applause of my own conscience. And I share. How many people do I know that used to think? There are people who used to say, oh, Vanessa, you're crazy. And now they are spiritists. They are directors of spiritist centers. But at first, they thought we were crazy. It doesn't hurt our feelings because this is not about us. Spiritism is not our idea. It's not our invention. It's not our discovery. And the more we delay the pathway for others, the more we delay our own happiness. Right, Daisy? So now we bring our friends together here for a final wrap up. We see Martins here with us. Thank you, Anna, Tatiane, Genesa, Katia. Thank you, friends, for joining us. If you still have a question or a comment, feel free to share as we're in the final moments of this invitation to the good today. And let's not forget, we only have today. Yesterday, gone. The future, who knows? Only God. I don't. No, but Vanessa, you think God's gonna take me away today? I don't know. Only God knows. What we know is that we have today. And if today we maximize the good by accepting the invitation to the good, good thoughts, good feelings, to produce good words and good actions. So we need to go inner. The invitation to the good is inner. It's like, stop being resentful. Stop this train of holding grudges. Stop it. And do what? Seek the good. Feel the good. Visualize the good. Then we can mold the good with all the resources we have at hand. Forgiveness is part of the package. We won't be able to progress if we don't practice daily forgiveness. It's not like a Christmas event, it's daily. Daily forgiveness to the self, forgiveness towards others, forgiveness all the time with everyone without the vanity of saying, but look what they did. Who are we to cast a stone? So, if anybody has anything extra to add, please join in before we go to the passes and the prayer, friends.
Vanessa, this reminded us of Chico Xavier, who constantly did and does the good, saying to all of us that we are millionaires of the Spirit because we have the knowledge of Spiritism within our minds and hearts. And Emmanuel, his mentor, tells us that one of the greatest acts of charity and goodness that we can do towards one another, sharing what we know, sharing Spiritism. And nowadays, it's so easy to do that because we all have a phone, and with a click of a button, we can share what we are doing right now across the world. So, all of us can share. It's super easy now. God is so good that God created social media for the good. And then the other thought that came to us is the exercise that Mentor Joseph often teaches us all about, that in order to forgive ourselves and others, we can look at the timeline of life eternal and visualize ourselves and others already ahead, already multiplying the good, seeing the divine in them and in ourselves.
Perfect, Carol. Thank you for that summary. And now we ask Luciana to do our prayer, our passes, followed by Carol's prayer. Is that okay? So, friends, let us prepare ourselves for this moment. The good spirits, as you've seen, Mentor Metella say, they are on the case. They know what we need. No petitions needed in this prayer. All we need to do is trust. Know that God is caring for us and open ourselves to receive. Receive what? New energies, new inspiration, recharge. So let us prepare as Luciana leads us into the next moment.
So, as we are attune and connect with the good doctors and mentors, let us visualize ourselves in the presence of Master Jesus, bringing to us the remedies, the strength that we need in order to transform ourselves in this pure spirit, in a free spirit full of love in this reincarnation. And as our Master extends his arm, giving us this hand, we feel the healing energies permeating us. Now, what we feel is only love, and we can experience the much love that our Master has to us. And our spiritual body and physical body vibrates love. Cells, organs, thoughts, feelings are being aligned with the feeling of love. There is no space for anything else. And we can see ourselves healed as we allow the flow of love permeate and flow through us. Our chakras are aligned, our vibration, and we feel that we can flow with the blessings and healing energies that our Doctor, Master Jesus, are applying on us in this moment. And as we learn with Him, we visualize the whole planet Earth enveloped in this healing energy, healing all our brothers and sisters, incarnate and disincarnated. There is so much love, so much that our Master Jesus is able to heal everyone as they permit this healing energy to reach them. And as we continue allowing ourselves to receive healing love energy, we, together with our dear friend Carol, pray in gratitude.
Feeling the flow of divine love that God permanently offers to all living beings in the universe. We raise our thoughts and hearts in gratitude for the north that God has given us, for the presence of Master Jesus, who is constantly serving and inspiring us by example. And we pray so that today, feeling the gift of the present moment, we too join Master Jesus in sharing the much good that we constantly receive. Thus, we pray together with the Master for all of those who do not know Him yet. We pray for all of those who resist His sweet and gentle calling. We also pray so that the love of the Master envelops those who do not yet know that they are children of God. We pray so that through the presence of the Master, they may hear His sweet and melodic voice, reminding them all in both realms that they are children of divine love as well as masterpieces of the Creator. We also pray for those who are in prisons, for those in refugee camps, nursing homes, orphanages, for those who lack shelter. We pray so that they find shelter in our loving Master's heart. And most of all, we pray so that we can have the courage, the determination, the perseverance to accept the invitation to do the good by sharing the good in each and every way that we can, with much gratitude in our hearts for the gift of this precious present. We now ask God, Master Jesus, and the mentors to finalize these prayerful moments. And so be it.
So the invitations, the invite is sent. Everybody got it. Let us seek the good. Feel it, visualize it, mold it. Don't be shy. The good is all there is. Everything else is just its absence. So thank you, friends, for joining us in Life in Two Worlds once again. We wish you a lovely day or night, depending on where you are. And we hope that we can see you again next week when we're going to continue these wonderful studies with Andre Luiz and his books. Thank you, Scott, for being with us as well today. And stay tuned because there is always more at Cardiac Radio. Thank you and see you next time.